BGMC. The biblical truth lives here.
We are living in a time like no other in history, but fortunately for us, God wrote it all down in His prophecies. Find out what prophecies happened this week ripped straight from the headlines. Stay tuned for the Prophecy Headlines news show on The Remnant's Call.
All right, let's get to the news.
Ok, vámonos
Some
a las
other
noticias.
news. Lots of news going on, people.
Muchas noticias que están pasando ahora.
First news stories comes from Israel.
Primera historia viene de Israel.
Cameras running, Tristan? Yeah. All right, first news story.
La primera historia.
This happened yesterday.
Esto pasó ayer.
A family was targeted in an acid attack.
Una familia judía fue atacada con ácido.
The Muslims will take either bleach or boric acid.
Los musulmanes están tomando cloro o
Just
ácido
acid,
bórico.
just acid.
Ácido
And
bórico.
throw it on people.
Y lo están lanzando en
Jewish
la
people.
gente judía.
So, these people had their car window open,
Esta gente tuvo la ventana del carro de ellos abierta.
and there was a father and mother,
Hubieron un papá y una mamá.
and their 3 children in the car
Y los 3 niños que estaban en el
who
carro.
got acid all over them.
Y les tiraron ácido sobre ellos.
These people are picking a fight,
Estas personas están tratando de tomar una pelea.
but God is the one who's picking the fight.
Pero Dios es el que está tomando esa
Remember,
pelea.
He did this once before.
Recuerda que él hizo esto una vez.
Do you remember the guy named Shimshon or Samson?
Recuerda el hombre que se llamaba Shimshon o
I'm
Samson.
going to go pick a fight with the Philistines.
Yo voy a ir a ver una pelea con
Well,
los
God is bringing a
filisteos.
fight to Israel,
Dios está trayendo una pelea con Israel.
and you'll see why.
Y van a ver por qué.
Next story. We're going to get a new government in Israel soon.
Vamos a tener un nuevo gobierno en Israel pronto.
This should really be very fascinating what happens.
Esto debe ser fascinante lo que vaya a pasar.
Because some people think that Benjamin Netanyahu won't even be the prime minister.
Porque muchos piensan que Benjamín Netanyahu no va a ser ni el primer ministro nomás.
Okay? And the other people just keep it all in prayer that God puts who He wants there.
Mantengan en oración que sea que Dios que ponga al que él quiera.
Because there's many different parties in Israel.
Porque hay muchos partidos políticos en Israel.
Like here in America, we have sort of a third party.
Tenemos aquí como 2 o 3 partidos.
And in Israel, you have to have at least 61 seats to rule the government.
Y en Israel debes tener por lo menos 61 sillas para poder gobernar.
So
en
many
Israel.
times you have to make partnerships with other political parties.
Muchas veces ellos tienen que unirse con otros partidos políticos.
So there's been a group that they're very left wing. They've made a party.
Ha habido un grupo que se hicieron un partido, son izquierdistas.
And then Benjamin Netanyahu has made friends with all the Orthodox Jewish people again.
Y Benjamín Netanyahu se hizo amigo de los judíos ortodoxos otra vez.
So we might be looking at something really fascinating.
Quizás estaremos viendo algo fascinante.
Because the Orthodox Jews get in place, which
Porque
is probably a good thing.
Porque si los judíos ortodoxos se ponen en el gobierno, que
They're
sería
going to
lo
put the
bueno,
temple up.
van a poner el templo. Oh my.
So can you feel it?
Pueden sentirlo.
Next story.
Próxima historia.
Israel struck Syria this week.
Israel atacó a Siria esta semana.
Ben, could you add some more chairs in the back, please? You see these trucks down here?
Si ven estos camiones aquí,
They carry very large missiles.
estos llevan unos misiles muy grandes. muy
And
largos.
they can strike most of Israel.
Estos podrían atacar o destruir a muchas partes de Israel.
Could we move this stuff? Evelyn, if you want to come up front. All right, so Israel struck Syria this past week.
Israel golpeó a Siria esta semana.
The European Parliament also, just put them on the side. The European Parliament voted to recognize the Palestinian state this week, or they're about to.
El Parlamento Europeo está a punto de reconocer a Palestina como un estado.
Okay, remember in Zechariah it says all nations will come against Israel.
Recuerda que en Zacarías dice que todas las naciones vendrán en contra de Israel.
In the next story,
La próxima historia.
this guy was up at the Dome of the Rock,
Este hombre estuvo en el domo de la roca
and he was taped saying we should go and slaughter all the Jews.
y él fue grabado diciendo que debemos ir y degollar a los judíos.
And he is a very big imam.
Y él es un gran imán.
That is a declaration of war, everybody.
Esta es una declaración de guerra.
Okay? So if Israel were to kill him, that would be okay because he already declared war.
Si Israel le mata a él, estaría bien porque él declaró guerra.
And you can watch it on YouTube.
Y pueden mirar esto en YouTube.
Thanks, YouTube.
Gracias, YouTube.
All right, anti-Semitism stories.
Noticias del antisemitismo.
This one happened, this first story happened right in our backyard.
Esta historia pasó en nuestro jardín.
Right across the Hudson River over there in New York City is the Chabad World Headquarters.
En la ciudad de Nueva York está el edificio de Chabad.
Okay, this man came in at 1:30 in the morning
Este hombre entró a la 1:30 de la mañana
because Chabad leaves their doors open for the homeless so they can come in and get warm.
porque Chabad deja las puertas abiertas para que la gente que no tiene hogar entren para que se mantengan calientes.
So this guy came in and says, I want to kill some Jews.
Este hombre entró y dijo, quiero matar judíos.
So he stabbed one young man from Israel that was praying,
Y atacó a un hombre que estuvo orando
and then security came,
y la seguridad vino.
and the New York City Police Department came.
Y el departamento de policía
And you can
vino.
watch the video online.
Pueden mirar el video en línea.
And the cop was like, put the knife down.
El policía le decía,
He used a few other words I won't get into.
pon el cuchillo, tira el cuchillo y...
And then he said, put the knife down, put the knife down, put the knife down.
Y le dijo, tira el cuchillo. Le
So
repitió
the
muchas
guy
veces.
puts the knife down.
El hombre pone el cuchillo en el piso.
So the cop puts his gun in his holster.
El policía guarda la pistola
And then the guy lunges to go pick up the knife
y
again.
después este hombre va y
He
otra
picks
vez
the
toma
knife up
el
again.
cuchillo y lo toma otra vez.
And then he goes after the cop.
Y después quiere atacar al policía.
So the cop takes his gun,
El policía saca
Bang.
su pistola y
one
luego
shot,
le disparó.
put him down on the ground.
Cayó en el piso.
That's why we got, you'll see Benjamin, he's in the back, okay? All right, that's what Benjamin, he's using his skills.
Benjamín está utilizando
So we're
sus...
going to go further with some
dones.
skills, you understand? Okay? I'll be getting a concealed carry also. Walgreens had some Nazi paper at their stores.
Walgreens estuvo vendiendo papel de regalo nazi en la tienda.
So you can wrap your Christmas presents in Nazi memorabilia.
Así pueden envolver sus regalos de Navidad en papel de regalo de nazi.
They said it was a mistake.
Dicen que fue un error.
Yeah, and I got a bridge to sell you.
Y yo tengo un puente que venderte.
So if you don't have to go to Walgreens, don't
No-
go to Walgreens.
No tienen que ir a Walgreens. No vayan a
How do you hurt a
Walgreens.
company?
¿Cómo lastimas una
You
compañía?
don't spend your money there.
Tú no gastas tu dinero allí.
They got no money, they got no store.
No tienen dinero, no tienen tienda.
Okay? That happened in California.
Eso
All right?
fue en California.
In Argentina, there's anti-Semitism.
En Argentina hay antisemitismo.
This is the third story in the year that we've had.
Esta es la tercera historia en el año que hemos tenido.
They desecrated the Jewish cemetery again.
Que desconsagraron, fueron y destruyeron el cementerio judío.
Okay? They ruined all the tombstones and stuff.
Arruinaron todas las tumbas y las lápidas.
Next story.
Próxima historia.
And then 5 people were arrested because they put on, I think it was they put it on YouTube that they were going to destroy a French synagogue.
Y 5 personas están en la cárcel porque dijeron en YouTube que iban a destruir una sinagoga en Francia.
Anti-Semitism is very high in Europe,
El antisemitismo está en altos niveles en Europa
and it is growing greatly around the globe.
y está creciendo en gran manera en el mundo.
And this is, you're going to see why.
Y vas a ver por qué.
Ripped from the headlines, End Time Prophecy. Let's take a look what's going on around the globe.
Profecía de fin de los tiempos arrancada en los encabezados.
In our first prophecy,
En la primera profecía.
in the stupid is as stupid does prophecy.
En estúpido es y estúpido lo hace.
In Psalm 92, verse 6 and 7,
En Salmo 92, versos 6 y
it
7.
says stupid people
Dice,
can't
gen-
know.
dice, gente estúpida no
You
sabe.
know, people get mad at me when I use the word stupid.
La gente se enoja conmigo cuando utilizo la palabra estúpida.
It's in the Bible, everybody.
Está en la Biblia.
It's in the Bible.
Esta palabra está en la Biblia.
Okay? So here in our first story,
En nuestra primera historia,
there are a lot of French kids going to the Middle East
hay muchos muchachos franceses que están yendo al Medio Oriente
to join the terrorist group IS.
para unirse al grupo terrorista Islamic State.
So the one kid wrote back home,
Un muchacho escribió a casa
I gotta stop this.
y dijo, debo detener esto.
I'm fed up. My iPod doesn't work anymore here.
Estoy cansado, debo regresar porque mi iPad ya no trabaja aquí.
That's a brilliant Muslim for you.
Ese es un musulmán brillante para ti.
Okay, and then another kid that went there,
Y otro muchacho que fue allá
he said, I'm fed up. They make me do the washing.
y dice, estoy cansado porque me hacen lavar.
A clean terrorist is a happy terrorist.
Un buen terrorista es un terrorista feliz. Un terrorista limpio.
Brilliant.
Muy brillante.
Next prophecy. Build your house on the rock.
Construye tu casa en la roca.
Yeshua talks about building your house on the rock in Matthew 7, verse 24 and 25.
Yeshua habla de construir la casa en la roca en Mateo 7, versos 24 y 25.
But what happens if the rock disappears?
Pero ¿qué pasa si la roca desaparece?
Fall in a hole, right? Well, there's a picture of San Francisco
Esta es una fotografía de San
before the
Francisco,
rain.
antes de la lluvia.
That's a pretty big hole. It goes down about 30 feet.
Ese es un hueco grande que tenía 30 pies de
Imagine
profundidad.
driving through that intersection.
Imagínate manejar por esa calle.
I mean, if you're from New York, you know, it's normal.
Si tú eres de Nueva York, eso es normal.
That's not a sinkhole, that's a normal pothole.
Eso no es un hueco, eso es un charco.
You got to get a Subaru. Okay? Oh, that's it, a Suzu. Okay? Okay, and in the next story, the storm.
La próxima historia, tormentas.
In Psalm 83, verse 15,
En Salmo 83, verso 15,
it talks about the storm.
habla de la tormenta.
Okay? There was a massive storm in the last three days. You got to do it in the back. There's no more. I'll get it. There was a massive storm throughout all of California the last 3 days.
Tuvieron una tormenta masiva en todo California por 3 días.
California is no longer in a drought,
California ya no está en sequía.
but they got all the rain in 3 days.
Ahora tuvieron toda la lluvia en 3 días.
So what do you think happened?
¿Qué crees que pasó?
What you're seeing in the picture, everybody,
Lo que están viendo en la fotografía,
that's mud.
eso es lodo.
It went halfway up the houses.
Y cubrió casas.
In some other pictures, it went up to the second floor of many houses.
Y en otras fotografías ese lodo subió hasta el segundo piso de las casas.
I guess if they didn't build their house on the rock.
Yo creo que no construyeron su casa en la roca.
So the Lord sent the rock to them
El Señor envió la roca a ellos
in the form of mud.
en una forma de lodo.
Okay, you should have seen the flooding. They got, what was the last we heard, 12 inches of rain in a day.
Tuvieron como 12 inches de lluvia en un día.
70, the Weather Channel said 70 trillion gallons of water.
El canal del tiempo dijo 70 trillones de agua, de galones de agua.
Whoops. Turn that faucet a little too high, Lord.
Un poco más agua.
No, he didn't. Next story.
Próxima historia.
You know, for a long time,
Por mucho tiempo
people have been talking about global warming.
han estado hablando las personas de calentamiento global.
Well, the Lord said you shouldn't lie.
El Señor dice no mentirás.
Okay? This past November, around the globe and around the United States,
Este pasado noviembre alrededor del mundo en Estados Unidos
9,000 record cold temperatures in November alone.
9,000 récords de bajas temperaturas en noviembre.
So much for global warming.
Mucho por calentamiento
It's
global.
getting a little colder out there in other
Se
places.
está enfriando un poquito en otros lugares.
Okay? And the next story,
Próxima historia.
money.
Dinero.
Luke chapter 15, verse 13, Yeshua says, don't make your God money.
Lucas 15:13 dice no hagas de tu Dios el dinero.
And it also talks about a son, a careless son,
Y
wasting
también,
his money.
y también habla del hijo que no le importó del dinero.
Okay, in this next story, This is interesting what's going on in South America.
Esta historia nos trae algo interesante que está pasando en Sudamérica.
This ties together with what we talked about last week.
Esto se relaciona con lo que hablamos la semana pasada.
That 3 European countries took their gold out of the United States.
Que 3 países europeos sacaron el oro de los Estados Unidos.
Now Brazil and Uruguay, that's how you say it?
Ahora Brasil y Uruguay.
Uruguay. Okay.
Uruguay.
That, what she said. Okay, they're not trading in the dollar anymore.
Ya no están haciendo intercambio con dólares.
So the rest of South America will start doing the same thing.
El resto de América del Sur comenzará a hacer lo mismo.
They're now trading in the peso.
Ahora están intercambiando en pesos.
So a recommendation for people who are in finance,
Recomendación para la gente que está en las finanzas.
you might want to invest a little bit in pesos.
Quizá quieras invertir un poquito en pesos.
Okay? Next story.
Próxima historia.
In Isaiah 5 verse 20,
En Isaías 5, verso 20.
it says, evil will be called good
Dice que el mal será llamado bien
and good will be called evil.
y el bien será llamado mal.
Right will be wrong.
El bien será mal.
In this first story here,
En esta primera historia,
there you see Black Friday shoppers.
aquí ven a los compradores del Viernes Negro.
There was a sale in, I forgot where it was,
Hubo una venta donde no me
on
recuerdo,
31-inch flat panel televisions.
de televisiones de 31 inches.
People were tackling each other for these TVs.
La gente estuvieron empujándose para cada quien por estas televisiones.
I thought it was supposed to be about Christmas, about God.
Yo pienso que debía ser acerca de Navidad, acerca de Dios.
Now, what's interesting about this,
Lo que es interesante acerca de esto,
if people will do this for an LCD television,
si la gente hiciera esto por un LCD, una televisión LCD,
what will they do when they need food?
¿qué hará cuando necesiten comida?
What will they do when they need food?
¿Qué harán cuando necesiten comida?
Okay? Get your mind wrapped around this.
Piensa acerca de esto.
You should have seen when they came in the door.
Deberías ver cómo pasó cuando
Some
entraron a la
people
puerta.
tripped and they just ran over these people.
Hay gente que tropezó y los otros los se pasaron por
For a
encima de ellos
television.
por una televisión.
Open up a book.
Abre un libro.
Next story. Okay, there you see some showers
Estas son unas duchas
at a high school.
en una escuela secundaria.
In Minnesota, they passed a law
En Minnesota acabaron de pasar una ley
18-2
18-2
that if a boy feels like a girl,
que si un muchacho se siente como una mujer,
he could go into the girls' locker room
puede entrar al cuarto del gimnasio de las muchachas
and shower.
y bañarse allí.
Now, I grew up as a secular boy.
Yo crecí como un muchacho secular.
Oh, I would have said, oh, I just feel like a girl today.
Yo hubiera dicho, me siento como mujer hoy.
I would have been in there all the time.
Yo estuviera ahí todo el tiempo.
Okay? Yeah, absolutely. So what do you think is going to happen when they don't have God?
¿Qué crees que va a pasar cuando no tienen a Dios?
The boy's just going to lie.
Los muchachos van a mentir.
He's going to get to go see naked girls. Of course he's going to lie.
Va a ir a ver mujeres desnudas. Claro que él va.
Because God is not being taught in your houses.
Porque a Dios no están enseñando a Dios en las casas.
So how many rapes do we have to go through before this changes?
¿Cuántas violaciones tendrán que pasar hasta que esto cambie?
Or how many dead administrators do we have to have?
¿O cuántos administradores muertos debemos tener?
Because that girl, she's going to get fed up. She's going to take a gun and she's going to find where you live, administrator.
Porque esta muchacha se va a enojar contigo y va a tomar un arma y va a buscar dónde vives tú, administrador.
Next story.
Próxima historia.
Painful sores. Now this is a fascinating story.
Dolorosas llagas.
In Revelation 16 verse 2,
En Revelaciones 16, verso 2.
the Lord said, in the end, I'm going to bring sores that go all over your body like in Egypt.
El Señor dice que va a traer llagas dolorosas así en todo tu cuerpo, así como en Egipto.
In this story here,
En esta historia aquí.
there's this woman, she took some of her friend's medication
Esta muchacha tomó medicinas de su amiga
and it started to burn her from the inside out.
y comenzó la medicina a quemarla de adentro para afuera.
And you see this on her feet. This isn't a tattoo, this is blisters.
Si ven, estos son llagas.
Okay? That was all over her body, so she's like being treated as a burn victim.
Ella está siendo tratada como una víctima de quemada.
But this has been happening more and more, everybody.
Pero esto ya está pasando mucho más a menudo.
Do not use man-made medicines unless you absolutely have to. I'm sorry,
No.
Dr. Mark.
Utilicen medicinas hechas de hombre a no ser que de veras lo necesiten.
Okay? We believe in God's oils, and they do work, and they work greatly.
Creemos en la medicina de Dios y trabaja muy bien.
I mean, look at all these blisters on her foot. That was from taking one pill.
Mira estos llagas, le pasó a ella por tomarse una píldora.
But there's part of the plagues that God spoke about.
Pero es parte de las plagas que el Señor habló.
Next story.
La próxima historia.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 22, the Lord said, I'm going to strike you down with diseases.
En Deuteronomio 28, verso 22 dice el Señor que te va a golpear con enfermedades.
Okay? In Madagascar, we're now up to 100 people that are dead from bubonic plague.
De la plaga bubónica en Madagascar ya hay 100 personas que han muerto.
Okay? The Lord's getting ready to do a lot of things around the globe, everybody.
El Señor está preparándose para hacer muchas cosas en el
Because
mundo.
how does bubonic plague get spread?
Porque cómo es que se transmite esta plaga
From
bubónica
fleas.
de las pulgas.
So let's just say a mouse or a rat
Digamos que un ratón o una rata
goes up the rope that attaches the ship to the dock.
sube al bote por medio de esa cuerda que sostiene, ata el bote contra el
Anybody
contra
help?
el dock, muelle. Thank you.
Okay? And the rat has fleas.
Y la rata tiene pulgas.
The rat goes on the boat.
La rata sube al bote.
The boat comes to America.
El bote viene acá a América.
The boat docks in America.
El bote ancla en América.
And the rat gets off the boat.
Y la rata sale del
There you
bote.
go. Bubonic plague has now come to America.
Ya la plaga bubónica llegó a América.
Okay? Next story.
Próxima historia.
This has been blacked out by most of the news agencies,
Esto ha sido bloqueado por muchas agencias de noticias.
but Ebola is still very big in Africa.
Pero la ébola está aún grande en África.
There's been 1,000 new dead people over the last week.
Han habido 1,000 personas en esta última semana.
Okay? This has not stopped. It's just been blacked out by the American news agencies.
Esto no se ha detenido, solamente a las noticias americanas ya no lo transmiten.
And we're up over 16,000 people, okay?
Ya están como 16,000
16,000
personas.
deaths.
16,000 muertes.
Next story. Okay, it says, do not steal in the 10 Commandments, right?
Dice, no robarás en los 10 mandamientos.
But when you don't got God,
Pero cuando no tienes a Dios,
you're going to steal.
vas a robar.
And that's what's going on in Idaho right now.
Y esto va a pasar en Idaho.
People are stealing live cows,
La gente está robándose vacas vivas.
okay? Because you get about 150 cattle value at $350,000 have been stolen.
150 cabezas de ganado son valuadas a $350,000.
Okay? So people are stealing it to cut it up and eat.
La gente está robándolas para matarlas y comer.
But God said, what are the plagues in Deuteronomy 28?
¿Qué es lo que dijo Dios en de las plagas en Deuteronomio
You
28?
don't follow me?
No me
I'm going to
sigues,
take away your food.
voy a quitarte la comida.
Next story.
Próxima historia.
Asteroids.
Asteroides.
Now this one you might want to pay attention to.
De quizá le quieras poner atención.
Because in Revelation chapter 16,
Porque en Revelaciones capítulo
Verse
16,
21,
verso 21,
okay, the Lord says, I'm going to send 70-pound hailstones.
el Señor dice que va a mandar unas piedras de 70 libras.
He also says in Revelation that all the islands are going to disappear.
También dice en Revelación que todas las islas se desaparecerán.
Well, you know, we don't study all the skies.
No estudiamos todos los cielos.
The people who watch the stars and asteroids, 1% of the sky has been mapped.
Las personas que estudian las estrellas, los planetas, solamente 1% del cielo ha sido
There was a
localizado.
Russian scientist
Hubo un científico ruso
who said he found a new asteroid
que dice que encontró un nuevo asteroide
that's gigantic,
que es gigantesco,
that's heading right for Earth.
que está encaminándose acá a la Tierra.
Okay, it might be here within the next 3 years.
Quizá llegue acá con los próximos 3 años.
A direct path towards Earth.
Un camino directo a la tierra.
Where are you going to get 70-pound hailstones?
¿De dónde van a salir 70 piedras de 70 libras?
There you go.
Granizo.
You might not want to live on an island
Quizá no quieras vivir en una isla,
because the water is going to rise. There's a lot more water than there is land.
porque va a haber más agua que tierra.
Okay? Next story.
Próxima historia.
It says, train up a child in Proverbs 22, verse 6. Sorry, I got an itch in my ear here.
En Proverbios 22:6 dice, entrena a tu hijo.
Now, you can train a child good,
Puedes entrenar a tu hijo bien
or you could train a child bad.
o puedes entrenar a tu hijo de mala
And what
manera.
our school systems are doing is training the child bad.
Y lo que nuestra escuela secular está haciendo es entrenando a los niños de mala manera.
Okay? In the school systems, the kids go for computer science class.
En los sistemas de computadora en la escuela, los niños van para la clase de computación.
And while they're in those classes,
Y mientras están en esas clases,
they get around the parental controls in England.
ellos pueden cambiar el control de padres en Inglaterra.
And only 25% of the kids were blocked by parental controls, so they were going on pornography sites.
Y solo 25% de los estudiantes han sido bloqueados por los padres para ir a páginas pornográficas.
Okay? So train a child up the way that they should go.
Enseña a tus hijos de la manera que deben ir.
So that's what the school wants to do.
Eso es lo que la escuela quiere hacer.
Without God.
Sin Dios.
Now the mark of the beast in Revelation 13, verse 16.
La marca de la bestia en Revelaciones 13, verso 16.
Talks about the mark of the beast.
Habla de la marca de la bestia.
Okay? Some people have heard about how the Sony website was hacked.
Alguien ha escuchado que la página Sony fue infiltrada.
Okay? But what it did is it gave out 47,000 social security numbers.
Lo que nos dio es que salieron de ahí 47,000 números de seguro social.
Why does this play into prophecy?
Porque esto señala la profecía.
Because some of the information that was hacked was the stars.
Porque alguna de la información que fue robada fue de actores
Like Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie or whoever.
como Brad Pitt o Angelina Jolie y otros más.
Now, their information gets out there,
Su información sale,
they're not going to be happy.
ellos no van a estar
If their
felices.
bank account gets hacked, they're really not going to be happy.
Si la cuenta de banco de ellos es robada, no van a estar felices.
But why is that important?
Pero ¿por qué es tan importante?
How are you going to get everybody to get on board with this mark of the beast?
¿Cómo vas a hacer que todos estén de acuerdo con la marca de la bestia?
We should all have to use our fingerprint, have Brad Pitt do an infomercial.
Debemos todos que utilizar nuestras huellas digitales para seguridad.
My information was hacked. How about yours?
Y tendrán un actor haciendo un comercial diciendo mi
The way
información
to
fue
stop
robada.
that
¿Qué tal la tuya?
is with this new device.
La manera de tener es con esta
Just
nueva
put your
manera.
thumb there
Solo pon tu dedo
from your right hand,
de tu mano derecha
and nobody could steal your information.
y nadie podrá robar tu información.
You get everybody doing it.
Vas a hacer que todo el mundo lo haga.
That's why the Lord is using these tools.
Por eso es que el Señor está utilizando esas herramientas.
Now let's get to the war stories.
Vamos a las historias de guerra.
Please take note of what's going on so you're prepared.
Tomen nota de lo que está pasando, así estarán preparados.
Yeshua warned us in Matthew 24, verse 7.
Yeshua nos advirtió en Mateo 24, verso 7.
Okay? First war story.
Primera historia de guerra.
Remember the scene from the very first Star Wars movie?
Recuerda la escena de la Guerra de las Galaxias.
Star Wars Episode 4.
De la Guerra de las Galaxias de
And Luke
episodio 4.
Skywalker's there in the Millennium Falcon,
Cuando Luke Skywalker está en el Falcón del Milenio.
shooting lasers to blow up ships.
Disparando con láser para destruir botes.
And you're like, that's just a movie.
Y tú decías, eso es una película.
Not anymore.
Ya no lo es.
It's an operational thing for the United States Navy.
Ahora es un arma que está operando para la naval de Estados Unidos.
They can shoot lasers to blow up things now.
Pueden disparar láseres que pueden destruir cosas.
And it only costs 57 cents a shot.
Y solo cuesta 57 centavos el disparo.
Cost effective. Yes, it is very cost effective.
Es muy
But
conveniente.
lasers can only go through the air
Pero el láser solamente puede pasar por el
and
aire
through solid objects.
y golpear objetos sólidos.
They don't go through water.
no pueden traspasar el agua.
It's very interesting.
Muy
Watch
interesante.
what happens.
Mira lo que va a pasar.
Here, China has made a new missile.
La China hizo un nuevo misil.
They have a missile that will go hypersonic speed.
Ellos hicieron un misil que tiene velocidad hipersónica.
So they shoot it, you can't even shoot it down even with a laser.
Si lo disparan, no lo vas a poder destruir ni con láser.
It's going too fast.
Va a ir demasiado rápido.
And in the next story,
La próxima historia.
this happened yesterday. Please take note of it.
Esto pasó ayer. Tome
This,
nota de esto.
this is the starting to martial law.
Esto está comenzando o comenzaría la ley marcial.
The House of Representatives
La ca-
passed the Dark War Resolution.
La Casa de Representativos pasó la resolución de la Guerra Negra.
It is Resolution 758.
Es la resolución 758.
What this does
Lo que hace
is
esto
allows this piece of interesting person here
es que permitirá este pedazo de persona interesante
called Barack Hussein Obama
que se llama Barack Hussein Obama
to attack Russia
para atacar Rusia
without authorization from the House and Senate.
sin la autorización de la Casa o el Senado.
Get ready.
Prepárense,
Get ready.
prepárense.
It hasn't passed the Senate yet,
Aún no ha pasado al Senado,
which
aún,
is controlled by the Republicans.
que estará controlado por los
And the House
republicanos.
will be controlled in, let's say, the 13th. It's 12, 13, 14. Okay? In a couple weeks, in 3 weeks.
En 3 semanas la casa será controlada por los republicanos.
Next worst story.
Próxima historia de guerra.
Russia is doing a lot of military activity in the Baltic Sea by Poland.
Rusia está haciendo mucha actividad de guerra cerca del mar Báltico por
They're-
Polonia.
They're practicing, everybody.
Están practicando.
You don't practice unless you're getting ready for a game.
Tú no practicas a no ser que estés preparándote para un juego.
Because why waste all that fuel?
¿Por qué gastar toda esa
Why
gasolina?
waste all those bullets?
¿Por qué gastar todas esas armas?
And here, on the Gog and Magog parts,
En la parte de Gog y Magog.
China knows that America was working on weapons,
La
laser
China
weapons.
sabía que Estados Unidos estaba trabajando en armas de láser.
So they knew that lasers can't go through water.
Ellos saben que el láser no puede traspasar el agua.
So what did they do?
¿Qué es lo que hicieron?
Made submarines
Hicieron submarinos
to launch nuclear missiles.
para que puedan disparar misiles nucleares.
Get ready, everybody. It's all there in the book of Revelation.
Prepárense que todo esté en el libro de Revelaciones.
And you know why?
¿Sabes qué?
It's because the body is not following God.
Es porque el cuerpo no está siguiendo a Dios.
We have the power to change all things.
Tenemos el poder de cambiar todas las cosas.
All right, that's enough news for now.
Eso es todo por noticias.
251 of you were online last week. Hit the donate button, please.
250 de ustedes estuvieron la semana pasada. Golpeen el botón de
And we're going to
donar.
donate ourselves.
Y vamos a donar nosotros
Why
mismos.
should you donate?
¿Por qué debes donar?
Because God said, give to me,
Porque Dios dice, dame a mí
and I'll give you more than you have.
y te daré más de lo que tú
And
tienes.
that's from Proverbs chapter 3, verses 9 and 10.
Esto es Proverbios 3, versos 9 y 10.
All right.
Shalom. My name is Messianic Rabbi Andrew Dinnerman, and I invite you to come to visit our congregation. If you are in the tri-state area, come out and visit with us on Shabbat. We are a congregation of Jews and Gentiles, living as one in the Messiah Yeshua. BGMC is a place of true worship. The focus never wanders from the Hebraic roots of our faith. Beth Goyim is rooted in the Word of God from Bereshit through to the book of Revelation. Messiah's strong words against man-made tradition are carefully recorded in Matthew 7. That is the reason we only follow the straight-up instructions found in Scripture. Truly, the way, the truth, and the life. If you're looking for a deeper walk with Adonai, come out for our Tuesday evening Bible study called Messianic Torah Time. Come, spend a day with us on any Shabbat. We start at 11 a.m. with the sound of the ancient Hebrew shofar. Next, we offer our King praise and worship in English, Hebrew, and Spanish. After worship, we review the headlines in the previous week's news from around the globe, especially news from the Holy Land, Israel. We don't just list the news headlines as current events, but we comb through the scriptures, searching for clues to understand what they mean and then to help pinpoint prophetically our current position on Adonai's clock. After digesting all that modern information, we leave the world behind as we journey with our Adonai deep into his eternal word, not with just 1 or 2 scriptures, but usually 7 or more scriptures. The spiritual nourishment and the richness of his kingdom become accessible to the ones who share this special time and seek them out. The day does not end there. Because Shabbat is so special to him, there is always so much more that our King desires to share. So instead of separating and leaving, we stay together as a family for potluck lunch and an afternoon study of our King's Word. We close the Shabbat together with the reading of the new week's parashah. That's the Torah portion. Even after those blessings, many of us just can't get enough. So the members bring prepared homemade foods to share while we all enjoy an uplifting movie together. If all that information is not quite enough, you can check out our website where you will find over 200 video teachings and biblical holy day studies. Under Messianic Torah Time, the Hebrew Roots button, you'll discover free studies on many different topics, including PowerPoint slide presentations. If Beth Goyim sounds like a place you'd love to visit, but you live outside the tri-state area, there is still a way to connect with us. We stream live on the internet on Tuesday, Thursday, and Shabbat. The website is www.bethgoyim.org. That's BETHGOYIM.org. Our phone number is 973-338-7800 or 978-2-YESHUA. That's 978, the number 2, Yeshua. Shalom.